Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with another Tactics Talk. Appreciate you tuning in and coming by. Let's talk about some tanks. This one is going to be about side scraping and hull down. Side scraping and hull down. I've got my low Tier 8 German premium tank loaded into Karelia. You can see we're on a 357. I have actually pretty good setup because they don't have a whole lot of big kids that can hurt me too badly anyway as far as wrecking me, other than some arty in there. And there is one big Tier 9 TD. So I will head over here to the east side on Karelia. You can see that I've got a couple mediums, a Tier 10, or at least one medium, a Tier 10, and a T71. And all three of these guys are going to head up to the donut or up the hill. And I don't have a whole lot of support coming up behind me. You can see that a number of our heavies have actually gone north for some reason. And you'll see that the T30 is actually going to camp back there. So our best gun is sitting back at the cap, which is never a good thing. So initially in my mind is I was going to push forward where the T10 and the STA are and kind of bull my way forward, or potentially cut to the left and get up behind those rocks that are down here approximately the J8 area or so, and do some side scraping and hold down there. But I can tell by the way that we are deploying that there's not going to be anybody back at this corner right up here in front of me to keep them honest as far as pushing around and coming up the hill and taking on our guys on the hill. And somebody needs to be there to punish them if they decide to do that. So I'll change my plan. I can see that there's a T32 headed over that way, and I'll just come in here looking for a shot if I can sneak one in on him. He gets by me, and I'll snap one off there on the GF. Alright, so I'm facing down a GF, at least a T32 so far, but our three tanks have made it up to the donut. I don't have much help, and the rest of my team is up to the north, just kind of trolling around there with three tanks, three heavies. T30 is essentially a heavy, camping the cap. So at this point now, it's a bit of a defensive crouch. I need to see how this develops on this side. I also need to watch for arty. If arty gets up into about this area right here or so, it can start to punish me on this corner. So I need to pay attention to that. My first shot was coming around with the front end of my tank, pushing around, because I knew that if anyone was there, it would probably be a snapshot. But I'm going to shift around, and now I'm going to do more of a side scrape and hold down. You'll notice that this little area right here is raised, and if I back up into that flat behind me, I will expose much less of my tank and basically just my turret. So watch what I do right here. Show you what I'm doing, and I just come right around here just a little bit and shoot in, and unfortunately that goes into the turret. And you will notice that the GF is making a mistake in regards to side scraping. I'm a front mounted turret, so as I side scrape back, I'm not exposing that much of the front of my tank. He is a rear-mounted turret, and you can see that as he's pushing forward with the front end of his tank around the side, that he is exposing the side of his tank. I'll show you again right here. Now I'm going to time this on a reload. I don't need to come out while I'm not reloaded, so I'm waiting until I'm reloaded. Just as I start to reload, I'll come back around, and I'm trying to get into the side of his tank. I'll let it zoom in, and right there. So you can see I punished him for having incorrect side scraping or corner fighting right there. I have a T25 behind me, and the three guys that went up the hill are punishing the two of theirs that pushed down, the Super Pershing and the T32. And that's the danger of losing the hill. If you push up forward like they did, you'll end up getting hit. So I'm going to take a nice aim and go into the Conqueror's track. Now while I was talking, I believe I snapshot the top hatch of the T32, which is complete luck from that range. I've gone to gold, but I've used my 4 gold rounds. And now we're just going to go ahead and keep pocketing. I think actually the T25 is shooting HE. I put a shot into the side of the GF. That's a mistake for him, but he decides he needs to move forward to try to take on those guys up on the hill there. And I'll just continue to side scrape. You see I continue to bounce shots, putting my best armor format forward. T32 is coming around. I'm going to try to get into him. Nope, bounce. He's decently angled. That's going to be hard to pin. Conqueror is still sitting there. I check 6 to see who's behind me, who's helping me precious little. At this point, put a shot into him. He dies as I fire, and anyway it hits the T32 and bounces off his upper plate, or maybe his side, depending on where I hit him. And now I'm going for the R2-D2 on the KV-5. Hit him in the turret. And we've lost our T10. Looks like the Foch is sitting on their cap, so he's taking him off the hill. Try once more. No, that misses left. Bounces off the top. plate of the T-32, and I'll just continue to side scrape. We're starting to win, so there's no need to really get crazy. And this KV-5 is willing to sit here, fire HE at me, and miss / let me take well-aimed shots at the R2-D2. See if I can get another one in on him. He hits me that time. Oh, it goes into the dirt. So that 107 millimeter on the KV-5 is not going to do much with HE. I'm not really worried about him shooting that at me. There's one finally, another one into the R2-D2. And now we're just down to the STA-1. I think the T-71 has dove off the back. I'm going to try to get a shot before he gets around, but nope, not quite. I might have been able to take that. But he gets hit by the STA, and now the KV-5 is pushing. I track him. Thinking about pushing out there, but I don't need to yet. I figured he might try to fix his track. As soon as he starts moving, I go for the lower plate because the R2 is a little bit difficult to hit, especially if he's wiggling a little bit. If he's stationary, the R2 is probably a better shot. And that was pretty lucky, right into Mr. R2 right there. Punish him going around the corner, and he heads up and dies. And so that's a pretty good example right there of pretty classic side scrape / hold down. You can see that's that raised ground right there, which kept my lower hull from being exposed to them on the counter fire. For a while I only had the T-25 back there helping me. There he is moving up, but eventually that T-30 came in and started adding some of his firepower to it. Had he been there to begin with, we'd had a much easier time over here in the south. You see the north is also won though, despite the fact that a bunch of heavies went that way. They've swept them up. So I'm around 2,800 or so damage at this point. I'm going to gather another 600 damage. And it's because I'm thinking about where the rest of the tanks are. Now, it's pretty obvious, right? They're in the southwest corner right there. And I can see the 3 tanks. They're all lit, or 2 of them are lit and one of them was lit. The Foch goes down. That leaves the A44 and 2 Arty. So more than likely, the Arty are sitting back in their corner up here, behind one of these rocks or up in that very corner, and the A44 is there. It's very unlikely, based on my speed and the line of sight that I have from here, that I'm going to get a shot on the A44 because he's down behind on the other side of the hill from me. However, the Arty is probably up near their cap. And right now what I need is some high ground. So I'm actually just going to cut left and head up that little hill right there, which is going to give me better shots on any Arty that show up. So here comes one. Pretty quick aim on this. I think I hit actually that top thing sticking up. That was the weirdest thing. And then now as I reload, I'm just going to head up the side of this. That was about another 280 damage. And I'm just trying to get as high as possible so that when they light that Arty, wherever he is up here, up near the cap, I'm actually high enough that I'm going to have more or less a straight shot into this guy. And let's see what happens right here. There he is, kind of where I expected. Now, if I'd have stayed down low, I may not have had a shot, or I certainly would have had a lot less of the tank showing. Let's let that zoom in, fire away. Looking for a reload. You can see the T-25 too. That's a great example. He just doesn't have a shot right there because he kept pushing in. Now there are certainly times when just pushing in is a good idea. If there were 4 or 5 tanks up there, then yeah, you need to get up there and start working on them. But it was just those 2 Arty, and I'm at that point it's clean up on aisle 2, and I'm just looking for whatever shots I can get. Because I know the map and because I know it's Arty and where they're probably going to be, I'm able to climb up the side of a silly hill right here and get 2 more shots and around 600 extra damage. So those are the kind of things you want to think about when you're trying to maximize stats. But what else has that given me? It's given me experience, and more importantly, it's given me credits as well. I hope this helps somebody. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you.